Call this May 13th, 2019 Jackson County Commission meeting to order. Roll call, Mr. Manning.
Yes, sir. Mr. Rich?
Present.
Mr. Bevel?
Present.
Ms. Gilbert? Mr. Sisk?
Present.
Chairman also present.
We'll have our prayer by Officer Talley and our pledge by Mr. Sisk.
Let's pray. We thank thee, O Father God, for being in our presence today. God, I ask you, Heavenly Father, Lord, to look over each and every councilman, God. I pray, Lord, that we'll all be in one mind and one accord, Lord. Lord, we thank you, we praise you, we love you for everything that you do for us, for it's in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next we need to approve the agenda for May 13th, 2019 meeting agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Got a motion
I'll second.
and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Next be our public comments from citizens. Mr. Manning, do we have somebody sign up there?
Johnny McAllister.
Mr. McKellar.
Yes, sir, thank you. I'm here tonight on the proposal y'all got shutting down where I vote at, the Christian Home voting precinct. There's a lot of people in my community that are elderly, that's able to travel to this particular place, that will not be able to travel on the flat lot. Therefore, there's 80 to 100 people possibly that elected each one of y'all to these positions that will not be voting on account of y'all want to shut down the Christian Home voting center. I've heard excuses as far as maybe you can't get the church open, maybe nobody wants to be responsible for the voting machines. Personally, we've had men and women die in this country for the right to vote. We don't need the commission saying that we're not going to provide this place to vote.
Okay, well, let me stop you right there. It ain't that we're wanting to take somebody, we're not taking anybody's right away. We're trying to consolidate because of our financial situation was one reason. Another reason was that I did have Mr. Jackson here who is over there voting, and he does, and I've heard this since I've been in office for 7 years. And it's been something that I've dealt with every time election comes up that they have trouble. And I can let Mr. Jackson tell you a little bit more about that. But we do have some problems at that site.
What is the problem?
Mr. Guffey, if you don't mind. Mr. McAllister, the reason, when I brought these up to the commission, I spoke to Mr. Sisk. I gave the recommendation to close quite a few in his district also. And one of the reasons Christian Home, my day begins at before 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm responsible for all 40 precincts, myself and one more person. And when we deliver these machines, we've got keys to every precinct in this county unless it's a city hall, in which case there's always someone there. And being in emergency management, anything can pop up at any given notice, as we saw last fall with the tornado that hit in Limrock Aspel. We were already working, but then we had to try to circumvent that to try to make sure their voting precinct was up by running it with generator power, because our first responsibility is emergencies that happen in this county. Not being able to get into a polling precinct because we have to wait on a key or I have to drive here, then the very next day a polling precinct expects you to come back and get that machine. Well, there's sometimes that we can't do that, and as the election manager of the county, I have to explain myself to Mr. Guffey as well as the commissioners why I can't get to a certain spot at a certain time. And they're lenient. Mr. Guffey, being my boss, is lenient on me because he understands what we have to do. And, when I proposed to a church member out there about having a key, he wanted to go through the process of me signing paperwork that I would be responsible for stuff in the church and all this. You know, I'm a county official. I shouldn't have to sign something stating, you know, that I'm responsible, because anything can happen after I leave or before I show up. So with that said, with the numbers as we looked at them, and I gave those numbers to Mr. Guffey as well as other commissioners, that, you know, we've got to try to figure a way to, that's their job, to find a situation and a resolution to this financial situation we've got. Mr. Sisk, he can attest to it. I drive anywhere from 250 miles a day, delivering machines or picking up machines, and that's not a full day as 40 precincts go. Because sometimes if I go somewhere and I didn't have a key, then I have to turn around and spend more money in county gas, and my time is overtime to do that. And my budget is limited as best as I can put it, because the commission decides my budget, and I have to do so much in that amount of time. So these precincts with Christian Home and Flat Rock being close together, you know, a few more miles, because if you really want to get down to it, there's people that live at the Tennessee state line in Sherwood that have to drive all the way to Stevenson to vote. And that's over 15 to almost 20 miles. And people in the Cedar Switch community where I live, half of those have to drive to Stevenson. That's 10 miles, 5 to 10 miles. So they're looking at it as a shorter distance to be able to consolidate some of the ones that, where people can come together, because the ones that in the valley that I proposed on that were because combined, those numbers did not amount to one of the boxes at Stevenson. Stevenson and Bridgeport have 2 voting machines. So one machine may vote 450 people to 500, another 600. But people have to drive so far to get that, and I told Mr. Guffey, and I asked his permission to say that, because when we're put behind waiting on someone or something happens and we can't go back in that allotted time that precinct wants us to.
Have you ever had to wait on anyone at Christian Home?
I've had to go to drive to the bus garage to get keys, go out there, then take those keys back, not hold on to the keys. And then I have to go back and get the keys to go back to get the machine. And that's
Does that happen?
every time.
Every time you have to go to the county bus garage?
Since I've been in emergency management, that was the process that we've always undertaken, go and see Miss Sharon Caperton, and she would allow me to borrow her keys. The one time that I didn't have to use her keys was when I got them out of her mailbox and went, but church was going on that night, so someone else let me in. But there's only been one time in the past 6 years of elections that I've been a part of that I've not had to do that.
So you're saying it's basically an inconvenience for setting up the voting machines and getting them back to the county?
Well, these voting machines, well, yes, in a way. I hate to sound tripe about it, but these voting machines, one is about 70 pounds, one is about 50 pounds. We have to take all the election materials with us out of the machinery. So I can only get 2 machines and that box in my vehicle. So I can't deliver anywhere else on the mountain. That is a special trip that I have to make specifically for Christian Home.
So is Christian Home closer to where you're coming from than the Flat Rock precinct? Or where they vote in
When
Flat Rock?
Flat Rock allows me to keep the machinery there. So I can pick up 6 voting machines at one time. I can deliver to Flat Rock. I can deliver to Higdon. I can deliver to Bryant, drop off to Long
I
Island.
thought you could carry 2.
No, if I'm carrying like the actual bins and the handicap machines. See, every precinct by federal law, you have to have a handicap marker.
Right.
regardless if that marker is used or not, that marker has to be set up and it has to be there for access. That marker looks about like a suitcase that stands that high, that wide, and is about 75 to 80 pounds. So I can only fit one of those in a bin, which looks like a large trash can, which is bigger than it, and one voting machine. So when I deliver to Christian Home, that is all I can deliver. So the rest of the mountain, either way from Christian Home, I have to come back here, reload again, then go back and pass the same spot I came from before. With Flat Rock voting, I forgot the numbers, but they usually vote around at the community center, close to 300 people.
So
A little bit
basically,
over.
we're voting 1/3 compared to what they're voting. So basically, 1/3 of the votes that elected these people possibly could be gone.
No, not gone.
Yeah, sure, they're gone. Most of them gonna be gone because they're not able to travel to them. And personally, I think it's a very big privilege to vote, and I vote every time.
Absolutely,
But
I do as well.
And there's people and things at the other precinct that will keep me away from it. I'll just be honest with you, I will not travel to Flat Rock to vote on account of stuff that's going on just like this right here. It's not right that John Lyda this man right here lives within a half mile to a mile from where you're trying to take away. John's able to get around, obviously, he's here today. But there's a lot of people in our community that it's a struggle just to get to where they're voting at now.
How do they get there now?
They'll have somebody drive them, or they'll drive themselves. Jack Smith could probably drive to Christian Home, but I wouldn't want Jack Smith on 117 going to Flat Rock. Jack Smith's 10 miles an hour on a fast day. So yeah, he could drive to Christian Home and vote.
So he crosses 117.
He crosses 117, he doesn't get on it and drive for 7 miles.
So if he stayed on 14 the other way in 314 and came out at Flat Rock,
He's gonna kill about a mile of it. So he's gonna get 6 miles on 117. And it's not necessarily Jack, there's a lot of people in our community that are elderly people. And you've got 80 to 100 people that vote each time. I could understand if it was 5 or 10 people, yeah. That is a little bit of an expense and a little bit, how about asking for some help in the community? Felix, I've known you since we were that tall. You've never once come and said, hey, John, I need some help delivering a voting machine. I'm a proud American. I will vote. And I will help you deliver voting machines if that's what it takes. Don't do away with the voting where I go to vote.
I don't think it's, correct me if I'm wrong, it ain't as much delivered on as it is. Like I said, the only reason Christian Home was even looked at was anything below 100 was looked at, about the consolidated. We had to make, I mean, none of these people, if you look at any of these, none of these wanted to.
Right.
And it ain't something we wanted to do, but we have to, as elected officials, we're sitting here to do a job, and we're supposed to do the best we can do for the people of Jackson County, and we're responsible for the finances here.
Okay, what about all
And-
this? Where did all this money come from?
Capital improvement money that
Where
we
did
can't
all the
spend for
money-
nothing else, that we can't spend it
You know,
on, that stuff.
we've got other monies that we're wasting, like these swings out here.
Them was donated.
You know, that's.
Them was donated by private citizens, so
All right.
there wasn't no money spent on that.
There's concrete around here, they
Scottsburg,
redone the
that
square,
was
you know,
county.
there's a lot of money in this
I
county.
mean,
It's wasted.
we can do this all day, but I'm telling you, this commission's been responsible for 7 years that I've been here. We've
And I
got-
voted for you.
Yeah, I know, and we've
And I
got,
voted for you, and there's nothing that will stop me on the next time, if Christian Home is shut down, there's nothing that can stop me from putting on Facebook, the next election that says, hey, these are the guys that shut it down.
yeah.
These are the guys, and, you know.
Well, I don't run to get
wanna do that.
reelected.
I don't wanna do that, and don't take that as a threat, because it's not there. I just want my polling place to remain open. And it's just crazy to think that y'all would try to take away, basically, the right of a few Americans, even if it was just one American, the right to vote. And I feel like that's what you're doing. You're taking away the right to vote by closing down a polling place.
And I appreciate that. I mean, I appreciate that, I really do, what you're saying.
Mr. Chairman, let me address this a little bit. I talked with Mr. McAllister earlier, and man just walked in, John Lyle, a good friend of mine, I've known for years. This situation is a burden on a lot of folks. Believe me, Paint Rock Valley, where I'm from, where I represent, which I don't worry about districts, and I represent you too. But the whole cause of this is the funding, the money is costing. And if we go in and have an election basically in June, that's gonna cost somewhere around $500 to $600, if I'm not mistaken. I had the figures in front of me, we looked at this back in January, and we had other things come up. But we turn around and have a runoff, okay, and come back, you got another $500, $600. We come up to the November election, we have those two elections, so we're talking about $2,400, plus we have to lease these machines, and part of these places, we had to have porta potties. Danes Chapel didn't, but we had to lease porta potties. And that runs into quite a bit. And over my area, there was seven polling places. And it's hard to, here comes one of my men in right now that votes over there. It's hard to lose any of them. And I went around and talked to the different ones, the precincts. Nobody wanted to let go, nobody. Some elderly folks just like you are, same thing. But after talking to them and compromising with them, they understood, you know, what it was gonna consist of. We're not trying to take away a person's right to vote. We're just trying to take care of the taxpayers' money. And it looks like, hey, we're putting you out of a place to vote. But you know, we're gonna try to make it where you can move up to Flat Rock. Just like the ones at my place had 7, they come down to 3. Come down to 3. And you're not the only one that's been hit with this. And I didn't like it when it came my way. And it's just a thing where the money is not available, and it's costing more and more to operate each year.
What does it cost to open Christian Home and operate it for each election?
Basically $600.
$600. Okay, so you're saying $600 for 100 votes, that's $6 for a vote, basically. I promise you, each one of them citizens pay more than $6 in county taxes each year. I've got right here in my hand where we pay $4 million for this hospital out of our county taxes, $4 million out of our ad valorem taxes going to this hospital down here, $2 million. That's just shot up a wild hog ton in because they're not doing what they should do down there. All right, but that's fine and dandy because nobody wants to buck the system. I'm not trying to buck the system. I just don't want the place where my community votes shut down. I don't think it's right. I don't think you have the right as a human being, as someone, an elected official, have the right to decide, hey, I'm going to shut this down because of a little bit of an inconvenience. If it's a little bit of an inconvenience, I'm sorry. But you know what? There's people that died. How big of an inconvenience was that for their family? It was a huge inconvenience. There's people that serve in the military that would die today just knowing that you were trying to shut down the place. It's not right. And if it costs $600, hey, I'm sorry. $600 isn't much money when you just picking the community blind anyway.
Yeah, but we're looking at basically $2,800 by the time that election's all said and done. 4 times plus the leasing machines. I mean, I wish I had the figures. I went down to see, and but we didn't have time to get it all printed off. Because I'd much rather hand you a copy and said, hey, this is what it cost. I'm not trying to hide anything. But like I said, I didn't want to be in a position to do this myself. It's not easy.
How many voting precincts, places do you think there should be in Jackson County?
I have no idea how many cities there is in Jackson County, how many communities. I do think personally that a person should not have to travel more than 15 miles to a place to vote, which I can see if you live out in the middle of Limb Rock or somewhere, and there's 5 of you, yeah, I can see you have to go 25 miles. But we have a community, the Fabius community is within Flat Rock. It's not just Flat Rock, it's a community. So that tells you there's population there. And there's a record to show between 80 and 100 people vote there. It's not like there's just 12 people voting. And how many people won by 80 or 100 votes, you know, in that area? It wasn't the fact that, hey, it was a landslide victory, you got all the votes. There was a lot of close elections, and it was basically decided on small places like this. So why take away our rights?
We're
We're not taking away nobody's
You
right.
still have
That's
the
what
right
you
to
need.
vote. And I really wish you'd stop saying that we're taking away your right to vote. We're just
Basically,
moving the area.
you're not taking away my right, I agree with that. But you are making it more difficult for me to vote and possibly for my neighbors to go vote. Because there's a lot of people in my community that aren't up to par as far as health-wise, that will go to the church to vote where they won't get out on the main highway. And I just feel like you're robbing our community, and you know, as far as these other communities, maybe they're not here to represent themselves, but if you would just basically take Christian Home off of your agenda and vote on the rest of it, that would satisfy my plea, you know. All I'm asking is for Christian Home. If y'all want to take the other communities' voting place or whatever, I'm here to represent Christian Home. But a lot here is Christian Home. We both voted there. We showed up to your meeting to say we don't want our home place shut down, and we appreciate if you take into consideration that there's 80 to 100 votes there that either you appreciate or come next voting time that you probably won't get. With that being said, I appreciate your time and I will sit down.
Thank you, Mr. McCollum.
I do appreciate you coming, but I personally I don't run to get reelected. I run to do a job the best I can do, and then I'll let my record stand on that. And like I said, this has never been to hurt anybody, take away anybody's rights. I just want you to understand that. I live in Higdon, so I'm familiar with
I
that
know where you
area.
live at too.
And, you know, I didn't think it was more than 10 miles difference anywhere around there. Wherever you live at, it's not gonna be more than 10 miles to go. Now, some people might be 0.8 miles right now to go to Christian Home, it may take them 2.8 to get up there.
Where's the line that divides where you go to Flat Rock or if you go to Christian Home?
I don't have any idea. I don't think there is a line.
There's not.
There's not a line. The districts are laid out for like the school board, they're there. But as far as the voting precincts, they're not designated. Now,
So,
there's people,
That just happened years ago, I think.
yeah, it's just the way it is and the way people register when they walk in and sit down, tell them where they live. And a lot of people vote at Flat Rock that live around Shotgun Grocery.
Yeah.
And it'll run 12, 10 to 15. Some of them be 15 miles, but not a lot of them. He's right about that. It's within 15 miles. And he's right. You're always gonna have some people that if you change it, they're gonna quit voting. That's just the way it is. I'm not gonna do that. My corner of our property is right in front of where we vote. It's not an issue there for me. But now there's gonna be a lot of people that will quit voting because of that, and that's a shame. But that's the way it'll be, is the way it has to be. And I understand the money thing, I understand that, but we vote right around 100 all the time.
Yes, sir.
You know, we voted at 29 when nobody in the county voted one time. And I worked polling place every time except if I was running, that's the only time I would miss. But yeah, there'll be some people that won't do it just because, you know, Fabius at one time had a post office, and with a lot of people, you kind of lose your identity, you know. But that's a decision you guys got to make, I know that.
Do y'all know of any other place that would be more convenient? I know they don't have a fire department, but I mean, any other structure, building, public place that
Yeah, they got a fire
that
department,
could be used
fire
around
department.
Christian Home, because of the difficulty.
that's the main thing is.
You know, that's the reason this one was brought up. Was just
Wouldn't solve that key problem. I'm not sure where that's all coming from, just to tell you the truth, but it wouldn't solve that key problem. Now, leaving it there, he's got a point there. I don't think he can leave it there.
Well, let me just bring up about the fire hall. I'm not sure that fire hall will even be there.
I'm not either.
I
It's
mean,
not
that's just
active.
being honest.
If that's what you
Because
mean.
Yeah, if the fund, yeah.
I don't know if the
Because if the funding
power's-
keeps falling, it may not even be in operation, so I hate to, you know what I mean, designate that place and it not even be there 2 years from now, 4 years from now.
It's not in operation.
Okay, I didn't know if it was or
No,
not.
it's not.
I didn't want to say
No,
that.
it's not.
And the accessibility of the facility is the main reason we were looking at this.
Yes.
Well, then what does that mean, accessibility, not having the key?
Yeah, we didn't have a key, and like I said, right after I got elected, the last time I think on the commission, as a chairman.
If that's the main reason, I don't think you got one.
Well, we
Well,
did,
it's always
because they
brought up
actually
to us
come.
every year, you
Yeah.
know, that they're
Every
having
election.
difficulty getting into that facility or getting access to that facility. It's been brought up every year I've been here.
And before, Felix took over, Mike Ashburn, and then before him, Victor, and I talked to both of them, and both of them said Victor even had issues going back. And he said it wasn't a problem once they got in and got set up, that it was a problem trying to get initially in, to get set up, and then trying to get back to get the equipment. They wanted it gone right in, and sometimes they couldn't make it, and some, I reckon some of them would get mad at them, and, that's where it come in at. So I just want you to know it wasn't just Mr. Jackson, it was going all the way back to Mike Ashburn and Victor Manning, that told us the same thing.
So, Felix, do you store the machines at polling places just during
No.
election?
No, what we do, I will get those and I'll have them serviced right before the next election comes up. But most of the polling places, because we don't have the room to store them, that's why you see so many in the halls now. We've got that small room to get 40 handicap machines and 44 voting machines in that room. And it's usually I stack them 6 high to get them in there. So what we do, we've got bins for each one of these. Most of the polling precincts allows us to keep the bins there. Even the city halls, they allow us to keep the bins. Because if we have to deliver those bins along with the handicap machines, you can get 3 bins in a pickup truck and 2 handicap machines and those 2 voting machines. Because this is a lot of space that it takes up, it causes us more time, it causes us more gas usage. And when you drive from here to Flat Rock, and that is the only place that I can go to one spot, and then I have to come back, it makes for long days, as sure as Chief Harlan can tell you. He spoke to me on the radio before when I was going to Putman Mountain at 9 o'clock at night to try to get these machines out when I was running the election by myself. So, you know, it's one of those, I hate using the word inconvenience, but what it is, Mr. Rich, is that we need to get in and get going. We're on a time frame to do this. Mr. Guffey, we check in with him when he knows whatever part of the county I'm in, or dispatch knows whatever part of the county I'm in. Now, if something serious comes up, I've got to leave that to go. I've had 18 wheel wrecks during elections I've had to work, you know, just like the tornado last time. What if that had happened earlier, the day before I take it to Christian home? The day after I have to go back and get it. You know, that's non-negotiable. And there was one gentleman out there that, he's a parishioner out there, offered me a key, but he also wanted me to sign a contract stating I was responsible for the church. And I won't do that. Because anything can happen. And, you know, if anybody were gonna do that, I think that would be up to Judge Manning, since he's the chief elected official, I think, over the elections. I'm the election manager. And you'd have to speak with someone on that. So until, you know, that happens, I can't be responsible for something I don't know that's gonna happen. You know, I've never signed one for all the other keys that I have in this county.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Lottie, you got any, I know you come in.
What's that guy's name told you wanted to sign the key? What's his name?
I've got it written down in my office, Mr. Light, I'll have to
How
give
about
it to
giving
you.
that to me? It wouldn't be fair, we wouldn't ask you to do that when you get out of the church, we don't have to sign the key. That's my opinion, you can quote me on that.
Say again, I'm sorry.
I said, if we gotta ask somebody to sign the key, we need to get out of the church, we don't need to use it.
While we're on this, I know Mr. Putman, he didn't get a chance to write down either, if he's got anything he wants to say, and Mr. McAllister, I appreciate you coming in, and hope you can understand, it's not easy sitting up here. And like I said, coming to Pine Rock Valley, believe me, we've lost school, you talk about identity, we've lost it all. And me trying to face this here, it's been tough. But he is one that worked the polls over at Dusty Fork, and I'd like, if you got anything that you want to address, Brian?
Just a minute,
Yeah,
Chairman. Just to address that, I don't have a problem dropping it to 3. I understand that. Commissioner Sessions and I talked about that. You've got the bishops right there. Now, to give you an idea, you're not the only one that's gonna have to travel a little further to go to his polling place. Commissioner Sessions can throw a rock from his house and hit Bishop where he votes.
Right.
And he's gonna have to go about 7 miles further up the road to go vote now, because we're closing one there in Pine Rock Valley. Now, we're closing 4 is my understanding,
Correct.
is what's being looked at.
7 to 3.
7 to 3. And all moving to the fire halls. There's a reason those fire halls are spaced out the way they are, to cover kind of equidistant parts of the valley, and I think that makes the most sense.
Yes, sir.
We voted at Prince's store there for years, but it doesn't have bathroom facilities, nothing like that. It needed to be moved, and it needed to be moved a long time ago. I think y'all are probably doing the right thing going to 3. I think moving them all to Princeton would be way out of the way. You take somebody that lives down towards lower end of the valley, and that's 30 miles.
Yeah.
And I think you'll end up with about 100 to 150 voted each one of those now. So
Yeah.
that's all I've got.
Thank you.
I mean, there was also, what area was that they had 4 people registered to vote and there's
Probably out-
3 of them?
That was Purple Mountain Hambrick Community.
So that means one of the elected officials, or one
Of
of
the poll workers.
didn't vote.
And as I said, Mr. Duffy, about Stevenson, if you live at the Tennessee state line, that's a good 20 miles
Oh, yeah.
to drive into downtown Stevenson to vote. So, you know, I did not, you know, recommend any of these to y'all lightly. You know, we've actually driven every one of these. So that's one of the things that we have to look at.
All right, we'll move on. We don't have any old business, we'll move on to new business. First one is going to be the motion to approve the proposed changes to the voting precincts. The list we've got as is right now is Hambrick to move into the Princeton Fire Hall, Holly Tree to Princeton Fire Hall, Bishop. This is one that I had some concern from our election officials, Mr. Sis. My paper says Bishop to Estill Fort, and they had brought to my attention that it needed to be at Princeton Fire Hall, not Estill Fort. Did I tell them I would bring it up to you today? Because unless we got this wrong when I was doing it.
No, that's correct, that's correct. I mean, there may have been somebody, but like I said, I've talked with the poll workers that work there, and, they said that's where they'd rather be, at Estill Fork. So let's just leave it as is. I mean, like I said.
I just want to make sure it wasn't my typo,
Right.
and it was, okay. All right, the next will be Garb to Trenton Fire Hall, Haskell to Lime Rock Fire Hall, and Christian Home to Flat Rock Community Center, and Holly Springs to Pleasant Grove. That was the list that was at the work session, that has to be moved over to this meeting. So with that, any commissioners got any things they'd like to talk about on these, the way it is right now? Mr. Sis?
No, I'm fine with the ones that, like I said, I discussed right there, and, you know, it's not an easy task. And, you know, I appreciate Mr. McAllister and Mr. Wilder coming up, and, you know, and expressing their view on this. But, you know, to me, basically what it was about, it's gonna put a hardship on a lot of us. But when you're talking about $2,800, I mean, that may not be the correct figure, but that's close. Is that right, Mr. Felix?
Higher, actually.
Higher?
It's about $800 per election. is what we-
It will add up to over $20,000 in the process of 2 to 3 elections. That's without runoffs.
And this is what we was trying to look at, was a savings. And, you know, I've got some, family members that vote in Madison County, and he used to live in Paint Rock Valley, and he said, I'm shocked it stayed like it has been. He said, I drive 18 miles just to vote, you know, so it's not easy making this decision here. So,
Mr. Rich?
Well, that's, you know, it's, anytime you try to, I mean, it's, how long have they been voting there at Christian Home? Ever since, back when?
I don't remember that long ago.
Times, I mean, you gotta do, with the county in the operating and soon to be in the red, soon, we're just trying to do the best thing to save money. Which I agree, you know, with Mr. Sis down there, Paint Rock Valley, got the school took away, now some of their polling places, you know, it is hard. Sometimes you gotta do things that you don't wanna do, but sometimes, you know, in the long run, it's the best for the majority of the people. And it's it's just a hard situation. You know, danged if you do, danged if you don't, so it's gonna be a hard decision, you know, either way. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Edwards?
I don't know what more to add to what these gentlemen said. The last thing we want to do is to keep people from voting. I encourage people to vote. I voted ever since I got the right to vote, and I appreciate the people that have fought and died and struggled for me to have that right. Out of every one of these, there's gonna be some struggle that it causes. I mean, and the last thing I wanna do is, you know, put an undue burden on elderly people, but, if we change it and things don't work out, I mean, we're not changing the borders of the district. We're just combining some districts, if we do all these. So, it could be changed back if, you know, if we think the need later
I've
or
got
whatever.
one question. Could it be feasible to maybe provide transportation for some folks? I mean, would that be?
We run our rural transportation routes, you know, and I'm sure they do all they can do on election day. But, again, like I said, the last thing I want to do, you know, prevent anybody from voting or their access to the polls.
All right, one more before we, talk more, I got a call today about the west end of Skyline. I know that's up in your area. Is that,
That's Holly Springs,
which one's that one
Pleasant
here?
Grove, isn't it? What they call Nat Mountain, is that Holly
Yeah.
Springs on there?
Mr. Mailbag, one is 31A and 31.
So that is the Holly Springs to Pleasant Grove we're talking about? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I just wanna make sure that that wasn't one that got dropped off. People got so many names for these over the years. I remember where I voted, North Sun Mountain's been called Higdon, Mount Olive. My grandpa always called it Mount Olive, and I never could figure out where he got Mount Olive from, but that's what they went by, was going down the vote at Mount Olive. So, I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing something. Okay, thank you.
It's a whole lot easier to travel nowadays than it was back when a lot of these were established. I mean, a lot of these were established back when, you know, you had to hit your team up to get to the voting place, so.
Okay. Anybody got anything else on?
Another thing, one of these we're looked at too, Mr. Chairman, you know, there was a little discussion, I know, being, I guess it was probably Mike Asper, when he was here before, was talking about the distance between Bryant and, North Sand Mountain and Flat Rock. You know, that's about 7 miles apart right there.
Yeah.
And, but you know, there's big precincts there. And, so, you know, that's kind of what we looked at, Mr. McAllister, when we come in, and, you know, was the ones, it's the numbers that we thought we could adjust, and maybe save taxpayer dollars, it would improve things later on. And just like myself, I mean, I run a business there, and I took this out of my business because I thought it would be much more accessible to have the handicap ramps and the bathrooms for these elderly people. Because I heard the same thing, well, I just want both. But once we went back and kind of compromised with them, they've been agreeable. And I hope you can do the same thing and let them understand, and I appreciate what you said, that's right.
There's no compromise here though. You've got it in your mind that this is the way it's gonna be. And the 8,000 or 10,000, whatever, is that closing all the precincts? Or is that each individual precinct that you're gonna save this money? Is that-
Each individual.
You're gonna save $8,000 for closing
No, it's about $20,000 per county.
per county, so by
It's
closing
gonna be
these, you're
about
gonna save $20,000.
$800 per election per precinct is about what the average has been, so there's times when we'll have
I
3,200.
think it's more than that, because when we had the.
Well, that was a low average.
When we had the referendum on the 1% sales tax, we spent,
1,200 per precinct, right?
and it was, you know, I can't remember the numbers, it seems like we anticipated it costing
Judge said, when I talked to Lena Berger, he said he's offering $28,000.
And it costing us a total of $7,000, I think, to have a countywide referendum. Best I remember, it's been 4 years.
Well, that works out about right. It was about $1,100 to $1,200, but some of them was higher, some of them was lower, so I just
You
used
got that
800.
20,000, you're not talking about, we're not countywide, it's just the.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, the ones that were close. Was, no, it's a lot higher. Yeah, yeah.
Well, my next question is, what are we gonna do with this $20,000 we just saved?
We're already, we're at $500,000 to $700,000 in the hole.
Well, you saved $20,000 though.
Well, we're about $500,000, that's what he's saying, the budget deficit right now.
Our
Because the
current
TVA,
revenue, we're spending, looking at gonna have to spend, close to $500,000 more than what we're bringing in.
We're spending close to $2 million for the hospital down there.
no, we're not.
We have no control over
No,
that.
that's the 4 mil between the
I agree with
property
you.
tax and the ad valorem tax, with the 4 mil, both of them together add up to close to $2 million. Why can't we dip into that and say, hey, y'all don't get your 4 mil anymore?
We have no control over that. That's set by state law, by the legislative delegation, just like the sales tax and, the schools property tax. I mean, we have no control over any of that.
So what would it take to repeal this 1950 amendment? August the 8th of 1950, they voted on an amendment to send them 4 mil from the,
You would have to
what
talk
would
to
that
the guys across the street over there. That'd have to be done through Montgomery. We have
have to be done through
We
Montgomery.
have
It's a
that.
local legislation. It'd have to be a local law that would
Would
change it.
y'all be in support of that?
I'd be willing to look at it for
Yeah,
sure.
I'm in support. We have contacted our legislative office. They are aware of our financial problems, and they are saying that they're currently working on it. So, and I am confident that they're gonna get something done. What it is, I'm not really sure, but that's what they have told me, that they are working on it, and they're gonna get something handled for us, so can't wait to see what they got to help us.
The majority of our revenue decline has been through, our TVA in lieu of tax dropping. They closed Widows Creek, writing Bellefonte property off, and then the check that the state gets, they divide that pool of money amongst the several counties that get TVA in lieu of money. And it's based 10% on, commercial power sales, 10% on, assets, power assets, and 80% on residential power sales. Well, you've got counties like Limestone and Madison that are growing, they're getting a bigger piece of the pie every year. In our little counties, we're stagnant in population growth, so we're not getting, and you get a mild summer and a mild winter, and you don't have a lot of power use, and, you know, we get less money. So that's what's driving our problem, the main thing.
So we got all our eggs in one basket with TVA, basically.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That was, like I said,
Done years ago.
that was done years ago. But I'd be glad if you come by my office, you know, and I can show you, if you'd like to see different things about the county, and if you got any ideas, I'd be glad to take them, because we're at our point right now where we've exhausted, we've cut as much as we can cut without cutting services.
We don't give any appropriations as far as libraries, rescue squad, any of that stuff. We don't give any appropriations out. We're down to just operating costs. Yeah, we offered, several years ago, we offered a retirement incentive, and everybody that retired, we didn't hire people back. We shifted people around, so we're 27 less people than we had 5 or 6 years ago, just to try to get our payroll obligation down. You know, we're constantly looking for ways to try to save money, just to try to right the ship. Because we're not supposed to spend more than we bring in. That's not what we're supposed to do.
We can keep blaming everything on TVA until we're blue in the face, and it's not gonna help a bit. You know, yeah, we have all our eggs in the basket on TVA, and they're running good, no problems. But now, I mean, it's gonna get worse in 2020, it's gonna be even less money we're getting from TVA and little taxes then.
what about the building we've got up on 72 in Hollywood? Is there anything happening with that, or are we just sitting there stagnant on that?
That's actually through, I think it's
Yeah,
not
it's,
developed.
yeah, we don't own that building, Economic Development owns that building back 8, 10, 12 years ago, before anybody sitting up here's time, that building was signed over to the EDA. And they have used it they have had some other companies come in based when they come to look at that building. So it has helped, bring some industry into Jackson County. And there is some companies looking at it currently to move it into. But there again, it's not gonna help the county. I mean, I'll be glad for the jobs and for the people of Jackson County, but we don't receive any sales tax. I mean, the best you can do might be
The
the
property
property
tax
tax.
will be abated more than likely, and that gets done through economic development. They can abate up to 10 years without our permission. So that will most likely get abated, so
It wouldn't be
we
zero.
wouldn't see a financial gain from.
So the jobs, I mean, that would put into your county because they'd be buying gas, groceries and such as that.
Yeah, but we don't get sales tax.
We don't
so
get
we
sales
don't
tax.
get
You're not getting any of that sales
No.
tax.
Schools gets it all.
And I
There's
do,
one
4 cents
thing that I
goes to
want
the
to bring up, I talked to you earlier right there, a 2% tax, Jackson County tax, doesn't come to this commission, doesn't come to anything in Jackson County.
We actually have to write the check for the school board. It's collected, and it comes to us, and then we write the check for the school board. We were understanding that we could take a 5% admin fee. We were told by other counties that they done it, our delegation even made mention of it at a public meeting we had. So we started doing that, and then we got a audit, exit, that said we could no longer do that we couldn't legally do that without a local law. So we had collected it for, what, 18 months or so?
13, I think.
13 months, so we paid back what we had collected. We were sitting on roughly $2 million in capital, well, now we're down to about $1 million in capital. So if we have a $500,000 budget deficit and we pass that, then we're sitting on $500,000. You know, you can't do it 2 years and we're broke and bouncing checks and, you know.
So saving $20,000 shutting down the precincts before we vote, that's going to keep us out of the red.
Well, it ain't just that, we're doing, we're looking at closing one of the doors to the courthouse, which is gonna be a $60,000 saving. But we're looking at little things, because right now, as of today, I hadn't got any help from our legislative delegation. So we're gonna have to, as a commission body, make the hard decisions, and it's gonna be closing some stuff down, it's gonna be moving, closing one of the doors down. We're gonna have to make little cuts until we come up to balance the budget, because, everybody sitting up here has got conservative values, and they don't think we should pass an unbalanced budget. So, we're gonna do our best to make sure that we cut and slim down until we get a balanced budget.
Our senior RX, our rural transportation and council on aging programs, just like the elderly people you talked about, a lot of them depend on those programs. Those programs cost us about $500,000 a year out of the general fund. So if we shut those programs down, we would be okay. That's not something I'm advocating to do or saying we should do, but, we have to function, and those are the things that we have to look at,
All right, anything else on proposed changes to the voting precincts? Anybody, would like to make a motion how to proceed?
I'll make a motion to combine all that were read off.
Got a motion for number 1 as written,
Plus the one that you added,
plus the one Holly Springs to Pleasant Grove
yeah.
Holly Springs to Pleasant Grove.
Community Center. I got a motion, let me get a second.
I'll second it. Not that I wanted to, but I'll second it to help the people in Jackson County. And I know it don't look right, but I gotta do what I think's best in the long run.
All right, got a motion and a second, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Next, be a motion to approve and reappoint Caleb Skipper to the Mountain Lakes Behavioral Health Board. This is a reappointment. We still have one vacant spot on that board. So that basically it's just to reappoint the current board member.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed. Next, be a motion to accept hiring committee's recommendation for Kevin Carter for the vacant temporary position in the Jackson County Maintenance Department.
I'll make that motion.
Got a motion, have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed.
I oppose. Is that right here in the courthouse, is what they're saying?
Yeah, it's gonna be a few weeks.
I oppose.
Okay. Let's see.
2-0.
Next, be a motion to approve the purchase of used herbicide truck out of Fund 100. Mr. Campbell, you got anything on that?
Just for
Anything
some
about-
questions, I sent out an email back on May 1st, I guess it was, and I know Charity was here with the information also, but if there are any questions, I'd like to fill those, about the email I sent, or any questions about the truck, or what our plans are.
Any questions for Mr. Campbell?
I don't, I feel like it was, gonna be a necessary thing, like we discussed before, with the time frame being to get the chemicals out, and we must have a breakdown. Not only that, trying to get parts back in, you know, we're paying overtime, and if these chemicals not put out and processed at the correct time, they're not gonna work, and trying to run a bush hogging tractor over 1,100 plus mile roads is very expensive, so I agree with what Jonathan's got on the paper to purchase this truck.
I agree, I mean, it would help, especially if the truck breaks down, we'll have basically a spare now to keep, you know, running on it. I believe it would be a good idea.
We'll make a motion to accept it.
I'll make the motion. And I want understanding right there that that's coming out of a fund that you already have the dollars appropriated, right?
Yes, sir, Fund 100, which is
Yeah.
our portion of that, is allocated for equipment. There was around 40,000 last year that was unspent.
Let us be clear, that fund, you cannot pave any roads out of that fund, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
It's only for
Or
equipment.
pay for polling workers.
Yes,
I just wanted to know, because I mean, you've been, somebody out here doesn't know that.
yes,
And, I'd be just like Mr. Calister over here, well, they can buy a truck, but they can't keep my polling place open.
yeah, like I said in the email, I anticipate this piece of equipment to pay for itself very quick. So during our budget meetings, I just kind of ask you to recall the numbers over the past years where we look at mowing compared to herbicide. So our goal now is one mowing cycle as a cleanup, if you remember. So it's getting around and being timely, like some of the items mentioned, that is the issue. So that's what's driving it.
And that has been considerable savings over the past years since we've had this chemical.
You got a motion?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed. Number 5, be a motion to approve conducting jail study on the ground on County Road 17. Test to be done with SME.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Say aye.
All those opposed. All right. Next will be a report from staff. Mr. Manning, you have anything?
Just gonna mention the J.D. McIntyre donation of all, I was gonna mention that anyway before Bill mentioned it, but a very kind act, donating labor and all these swings we got around the courthouse square. Very nice gesture from the citizens.
Yeah, I was wanting to bring it up. He did all the swings that everybody sees out there. Mr. McIntyre had actually cut the logs, sawed them up in the sawmill, built the swings, come out here and some people from his church put them up. The only thing that they didn't do was, there were some inmates that dug the holes for the swings, but they installed them, put them up, so it wasn't at any cost to the county, so I want to also thank Mr. McNary, doing a great job, and the citizens have been just coming in here, loving it, so they've been enjoying it.
One thing I would like to say about those swings, I don't want us to come back and have some, a lawsuit on those bolts that been put in. I think we might want to have our maintenance person go back and put some, S-hooks or cold shuts on them, because that is kind of a hazard where the chains are. I mean, if you walk up and see the bolts right there, and you want a child or something fall over on them, and be skid up pretty easy.
And your clothes could probably get caught
Get
on.
caught. I think there just need to be some cold shuts or S-hooks.
Oh, let's check it.
Mr. Guffey, since we're here, I wanted to make you and the chairman that are here aware that both Mr. Campbell and I have started our exploratory calls with FEMA concerning the damaged roads, so.
Good deal.
And we'll be moving forward with that to try to find some sort of resolution with them as the weeks go on, so we hit that call this afternoon.
Thank you. Mr. Campbell.
Just to piggyback on Felix's comments, there's a flow chart that kind of shows the progression on where we are now and where we're headed. So that exploratory call that took place today is noted there, and then that information that they're looking to gather, that's a meeting scheduled for next week, 5/23/19, Damon's inventory meeting. And then the week following that will be recovery scoping meeting. So the two are tentative dates, but we feel pretty good about those dates, I think,
Yes.
holding those. And so you can kind of see where we're at in the process. So we flow down through all these meetings, site inspections would follow if required, which I anticipate those, and then we'll progress down toward the final acceptance and funding. So once the funding part happens, then the state should have the money, and we should be able to proceed.
Good. Thank you. Mr. Ridge.
I've been getting several calls about County Road 17 and 93, and I've told them, there's steps we've got to take, and I'm glad that we're finally getting to the point now that where we can actually start work on the 17, and hopefully the others, in the near future. And also I'd like to congratulate the area softball teams for going to Montgomery this week. If I'm not mistaken, we got two North Jackson and Pisgah playing in the state championship games this week. I'd like to congratulate them. Hope everybody has a great time down there. That's all I've got.
Mr. Riddle.
I don't have anything to add. I appreciate everybody that came tonight. I understand where you're coming from, and I appreciate you coming.
Mr. Sis.
Yeah, I don't want to re-up what they just said, because, coming to these meetings, you don't really know when you walk the streets out there and you hear people talk. I appreciate y'all coming and being a part of it. Because this is what it's about. It's being your voice. I mean, things don't always go the way I like it to be, even up here. But, I appreciate it. And one statement I want to make, and I got a few phone calls about, and I think, Brad just probably made a mistake. I hope he did. It said something about County Road 17. Can't remember how it read, but people have to, I don't know what it was, how it meant. It ain't gonna happen overnight. I don't think I made that statement in the last meeting. I have not reviewed it to see. I said it will take time to get it done, because FEMA, we've got to go through all the loopholes and get all the guidelines and cross our I's and dot our T's. To cross our T's and dot our I's to make it all happen. So I want to go back on that and make sure they understood. And one thing I would also like to do was at a funeral this afternoon, and I'd like to commend our officers, part of Rocky's staff, part of our staff here, for being an escort on their own time over here for a funeral. I appreciate that. I know there's been some questions on some other things that went on here, and I understand, about the guidelines throughout the county with escorts, but just want to say thank you for your people doing it on their own time. That's all I have.
Rocky, I'm sorry, I skipped you.
Oh, that's okay, and just to follow up on that, basically what happened, I think the city is not able to, because of shortcomings in their manpower, they can't do the transports for veterans and for funeral escorts, so we had a crew of folks that have volunteered on their off time to come in, and for any veteran that needs an escort to a cemetery, they will do that on their own time. They're not asking any money for it. They just want to come in and serve. And this child today was a child that was kind of close to one of our deputies whose son also had the same kind of problems when he was born. And this child was unfortunate that he was in the hospital for a year and then passed. He did not make it out of the hospital, so he felt like we needed to do that one. So it was our pleasure to be able to help him on that.
Thank you.
Also, just y'all all probably know that we had a major train derailment about a week ago, a little over a week ago in Woodville. If you didn't see the work that was done out there, that bunch did an amazing job cleaning that thing up. If you'd have seen it 3 minutes after it happened like I did, and I said it would take weeks, maybe months to clean it up. And when they told me 24 hours, they would have it running trains again, I just thought, no way. But when they got the people there, 4 crews, contractors there, it was working like a dance. It was amazing to watch them work. I don't think they did any damage to any county property, maybe some road issues. I don't know if that's Woodville's or yours. But anyway, whatever they damaged, they will fix. Norfolk Southern will. And they're out there every day still working on this thing. It was an amazing thing to watch them clear the tracks, do what they had to do, and get trains running within 24 hours. Just thought I'd bring it up. Everybody really worked closely together. We had, EMA was out there very shortly. We were out there within a few minutes. Jonathan's crew came out and assisted with some barricades that we needed to close down roads because you couldn't park. You couldn't get anybody through those roads. There was so much work going on. But it was a major deal, and thank God nobody got hurt.
We got an amazing team around here. It seems like everybody really works together good, so it was nice, and I appreciate that. Mr. Rich, you got
Yes, I'd like to thank everybody that come today to really, I wish that more of the public would get involved and get more knowledge. You know, a lot of people say, well, y'all get all the sales tax. You know, we don't get sales tax. If everybody gets involved and seeing actually where all the money goes, just like this Fund 100, they could buy all these supplies and materials for the county workers. And if everybody could just get educated on, you know, what the things that we got to deal with, that everybody thinks that all the money comes to the county, you know, and it don't. But I just like thank everybody for coming. And that's all.
All right, I got one thing I got today is actually from the Alabama Historical Commission. It says, Dear Commissioners, the Alabama Historical Commission is pleased to inform you that the above referenced cemetery, which is Old Baptist Cemetery on 1410 County Road 42 in Hollywood, in Jackson County, has been added to the Alabama Historical Cemetery Register. The Alabama Historic Cemetery Register is a prestigious listing of historic cemeteries in Alabama. The Commission considers historic cemeteries particularly worthy of preservation and appreciation, and therefore deserving of this special recognition. It kind of just goes on and gives a little bit of the legal verbiage, but so anyway, I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention that I think this makes number 5 or 6 that we've got in Jackson County now that it's been added to the Historical Commission. So, okay, well, I just want to put that out there for everybody. If nothing else, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
You get a second?
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Adjourn.